here with Lotus' first SUV, and it's not just any SUV, it is an EV. It is the Eletre S. Now, what do we know about it? Well, first, it has a 112 kilowatt hour battery, which is quite a large battery, but it is good for about 500 kilometers of range or 360 miles roughly. And this is a dual motor setup, which is quite powerful. So you're talking about 700 Newton meters of power out of this SUV. And in Lotus history or Lotus fashion, it is a performer. So top speed on it is 258 kilometers per hour. So you can get roughly speeds upwards of 150 miles per hour on this large SUV. And it is quite heavy at 2.5 tons. But 0 to 60 times, it will move. 0 to 60 in 4.8 seconds. Now, if we come around to the front here, some really aggressive styling, some very cool styling. It's very interesting. Something like this might give some impressions of Ferrari, but no doubt it is something that is very unique and very cool. So here you can see it's got these very aggressive headlight treatment right here and this large intake. Now, this might look like it's something that you would see on a sports car, but for this, it's really to move air to make this a very high performing SUV. So if we come through here, I can actually stick my hand through here and that pushes air through the front bumper over the hood right here. And so this car is going to move through air quite well. And then also you've got this large intake for battery cooling as well. And it's got sort of a bit of a matrix pattern with it in that some vents are open and some vents are closed. There are some fins in here that do open and close to really regulate airflow based on how the car is being driven. So that is a very cool feature from Lotus, and would definitely like to see what this looks like once the car is actually out on the road. You've got these very large 275/40 series 22-inch tires, and looks like a bit of a carbon fiber treatment on the wheels here. Massive front brakes and cross-drilled rotors as well. And so again, this car looks the part. And if we think about EV SUVs, there really isn't anything on the market that we can really compare it to in terms of what it's able to do and the setup that it has. So certainly you have to imagine that this would be a very well-performing SUV, especially in electrified form, and look forward to seeing what it does once it's actually out on the market. In terms of pricing, it is about 160,000 US, so roughly about 130, 140 euro. And so not actually a bad price for this particular SUV here. Looks like something that will be much more expensive, but for the price point, again, expect roughly $150,000. You've got this very sort of sleek side mirror treatment, and that is a camera that's featured here. It's got this nice carbon fiber treatment, reducing the weight of this big, heavy EV SUV, but that is a very cool feature nonetheless. And then one of the other cool features in terms of the type of performance and the actual speed at which this vehicle moves at is that it actually has an air vent in here that pushes out through the side, again, to one, cool off those brakes, and number two, pass through air, reduce the amount of turbulence as this car is moving at speed. Here, again, to maximize aerodynamics, you've got these recessed door handles, and so when you open, the handles will pop out, but while driving, these door handles will pull in. And again, a nice little feature from Lotus to maximize the aerodynamics of this Eletre S. So it is a very big, long EV SUV. So you've got this long roof line right here, and flows all the way to the back right here on this carbon fiber deck lid. What's interesting about it is that this is a 5-passenger SUV, but you can also get a 4-passenger configuration as well. With the 4-passenger configuration, you actually get a little bit more cargo space from the boot, and with 5-passenger, obviously that takes some of that away. But very sort of fast, sort of aggressive looking SUV here. So coming around to the back, if we look here, you've got the single light bar and this really cool sort of integrated rear spoiler off of the roof line right here. So some downforce without adding some sort of strange wing treatment to the rear, especially for an SUV. So you've got these floating fins to really add some downforce to the rear of the vehicle. But it's also a very cool look aesthetically. And it looks like there's a rear view camera right here, maybe some type of LiDAR as well, a sort of blacked out array. Could also be a brake light, very difficult to say based on what we see here. A little bit of mystery, which is pretty cool. And then this blacked out window as well. Now I imagine because of the size of this vehicle right here that there's probably a lot of technology going on inside to help the driver see out of the rear of the vehicle. You've got some carbon fiber paneling down right here with some rear parking sensors. And if we look underneath, it's not exactly a diffuser in the traditional sense, but it is very smooth underneath to minimize the amount of air turbulence under this vehicle. And one of the features that I like is, again, there's ventilation right here. You can put your hands in and it is a very large vent. So that's gonna move a lot of air through it, which is very cool. Not only in terms of just design and aesthetics, but just the performance benefit that you get from it as well. So very cool job from Lotus on that particular design element. So for charging the Lotus Eletre S, you've got your charging port right here up front. Now this is using a CCS connector. This is quite a large connector. I'd be afraid of something like this breaking off given how large it is, but it is what it is. The Lotus Eletre is packed with technology. The key technology being the LiDAR system on this vehicle. Now, LiDAR enables this vehicle to get a map of the world or the environment that the Lotus Eletre is in. What the LiDAR enables on this vehicle is an additional layer to the ADAS system, the Advanced Driver Assistance System. And what this does here is it can detect oncoming vehicles as well as obstacles in the road, as well as use some form of autonomy in emergency situations. Now, we don't know how far or how much this will be enabled once this vehicle hits the market, but it is a possibility through additional enablement and as policies change around the world that this Lotus Eletre S will have some form of autonomy. Now, it is using Hesai's LiDAR system, which is quite an advanced LiDAR, and there are some features with this vehicle that allows it to see up to 70 meters around it. And so if you look here at the front, that is a LiDAR component in the roof of the vehicle that helps the vehicle see in front of it. And there is also a LiDAR system on the back of the vehicle that I pointed out earlier. Also, there are several cameras around this vehicle. And so this is a fully enabled vehicle in terms of self-driving capability, but to what extent it will be enabled, that is not known at the moment, but it is very cool. And it is the only SUV of its kind, a hyper SUV, to have this type of functionality enabled. Now, what's unique about it is with this technology, the Eletre S is actually capable of SAE Level 4 autonomy. That means that this vehicle can drive itself without the intervention of a human. So what do you think about this functionality from Lotus and Hesai in this Lotus Eletre S? Leave your comments in the comment section below. This is the Lotus Eletre S, very cool EV SUV, and we should see this on the market beginning in 2024 or 2025.